My child, I need to talk to you about the people who left. Not around it. Not gently past it, directly into it. Because I know. You are still carrying it. Maybe you do not think about it every day the way you used to. Maybe you have gotten skilled at moving around it the way you learned to move around furniture in the dark automatically, without thinking. Because the shape of the absence has become so familiar, you navigate it without looking. But it is still there. The empty space where someone used to be. The silence where a voice used to fill something in you. The particular ache that rises in quiet moments when your guard is down and the memory arrives before you can redirect your attention away from it. I want to speak into that space today, into the specific wound of people who left, people you loved, people you trusted, people you built something with, relied on, opened parts of yourself to that you have never quite opened to anyone since. People whose leaving changed something fundamental about how you move through the world and how much of yourself you are willing to offer to the next person who comes close. I want to speak into the question you have never fully stopped asking, even when you convinced yourself you had moved on. Why? Why did they leave? Why did it happen the way it did? And underneath that question, the more dangerous one, what does it say about me that they went? I want to answer both of those questions today, completely, finally, in a way that I pray reaches the part of you that has been carrying this wound and gives it something it has not had since the leaving happened. Understanding, not just comfort, not just reassurance that you will be okay. Real understanding of what actually happened, and why, and what it means about you, and what it means about where you are going. Here is the truth I need you to receive. Everyone who has left your life was known to me before they arrived in it. I knew when they came. I knew what they were coming to bring you: the love, the lesson, the season of companionship, the growth that only that specific relationship could produce in you at that specific point in your story. And I knew when the season would end, not because I am indifferent to your pain, because I see the whole story from a vantage point you do not have access to from inside it. And from that vantage point, I can see something that the wound makes impossible to see from where you are standing. Not everyone who was meant to be in your life was meant to be in all of it. Some people were sent for a chapter, and when the chapter ended, the staying would have cost you more than the leaving ever did. I want to speak to the specific people. The friend who disappeared without explanation. The relationship that ended in ways that still do not fully make sense. The family member who chose distance. The person you considered your person who turned out not to be built for where your story was going. I want to speak to each category of leaving because each one carries its own specific wound and each one has its own specific truth that will heal it. The friend who disappeared, the one you thought would be there for the long chapters of your life, who quietly faded and eventually stopped showing up entirely. That leaving felt like a slow abandonment. Like being gradually deprioritized until the friendship existed only in theory. And you blamed yourself for it. You replayed conversations, trying to identify what you said or did that shifted things. You wondered if you had been too much or not enough, or if the real version of you that you allowed them to see was the thing that caused the distance. Let me tell you what actually happened. You grew. And the growth created a gap between where you were going and where they were staying, not because you are better. Because you are different. You were moving toward something, toward depth, toward authenticity, toward a version of yourself that requires a different quality of companionship than what that friendship was built to provide. The friendship was real. The season of it was genuine, but it was not constructed to hold the weight of who you are becoming. And I needed you to have hands free to reach for what is coming, instead of holding on to what had already finished its work in you. The relationship that ended, the romantic one. The one that cost you the most. The one that left a shape in your life that other things keep accidentally fitting into for a moment before revealing that they are not quite the right shape. That leaving broke something open in you that has not fully closed, and you have carried it as evidence that you are hard to love. That you love in a way that is too much or in the wrong direction, that the version of yourself you brought to that relationship was not good enough to make someone stay. I need to tell you what that relationship actually was. It was a classroom, not a destination. It came to teach you specific things about what love feels like from the inside when it is right and when it is not right. It came to surface places in you that needed healing, that could only be surfaced through that specific intimate context. It came to show you the difference between love that asks you to diminish yourself and love that calls you to expand. And when it had taught you everything it was sent to teach you, staying in it would have prevented you from receiving what I have been preparing for you. The right love, the love that was written for you before time began, could not arrive while you were occupying the space it was destined to fill. The leaving made room, not just in your life, in you. The family member who chose distance this is the one that carries the specific weight of something that should have been permanent choosing not to be. Family is supposed to mean always, and when always turns out to mean until it became inconvenient, the wound goes deeper than other departures because it attacks something foundational. If the people who were given to you by birth could not stay, what does that say about your worthiness of being stayed with by anyone? Let me answer that directly. It says nothing about your worthiness. It says everything about their capacity. Some people are given to us not because they are built for us, but because they are built for a specific season of our formation. They were there when you needed them, and their absence is painful, but it is not permanent abandonment by me. I have never left. I will never leave. And the love you needed from them, that was not given, I am the source of that love, and it is fully available to you. Not as a replacement for human belonging, as the foundation from which human belonging becomes possible without being desperate. Now I want to speak to what the leaving collectively has done to you. Because the accumulation of departures does not just create individual wounds, it creates a posture, a way of holding yourself in relation to other people that has become your default operating mode. Careful, measured, giving enough to feel connected but not so much that the leaving, if it comes, will reach the deepest parts of you. You have learned to love with one hand slightly held back, to trust with an internal asterisk, to open up to a point and then find reasons to stop there, because stopping there feels safer than the alternative. And I understand why you developed that posture. It was a completely rational response to repeated experiences of loss. You built the walls because the open spaces kept getting hurt. But my child, that posture is now costing you more than the losses did. Because the people I am bringing into your next chapter, the ones who are built for the long story, the ones whose love will not leave when it becomes inconvenient, the ones who are coming specifically because of who you are and not in spite of it, those people are arriving and finding the walls instead of you. And the walls are doing what walls do, keeping out the hurt, but also keeping out the healing. And I need you to make a decision about those walls. Not to demolish them all at once, not to immediately open every closed space to whoever shows up next, but to begin slowly, deliberately, with my help and my discernment, lowering the threshold, letting people a little closer than the current wall allows, testing the new posture in small doses. Because love requires risk, and I know risk is the one thing you have the least capacity for right now. But I will be with you in the risking. I will help you discern who is safe to risk with. And I will be the safety net underneath every extension of trust, so that even if it costs you again, it will not cost you the way it has before. Because now you know I am here. And knowing I am here changes the economics of vulnerability completely. I want to declare something over the empty spaces now. The places in your life where people used to be and are no longer. Those spaces are not evidence of your unworthiness. They are not the permanent shape of your life. They are not proof that this is simply what your story looks like, beautiful in some places, yes, but marked throughout by the specific loneliness of people who do not stay. That is not your story. That is a chapter of your story. And I am not a God who leaves his children in chapters like that one. I am a God who brings people to the table, who arranges connections with a precision that makes coincidence an insufficient explanation, who positions the right person in the right place at the right time with the right capacity to love the specific, complicated, magnificent version of you that the hard seasons have produced. Your people are coming. Not a person. People. The community of belonging that your soul has been aching for, the ones who speak your language without you having to translate yourself, who celebrate your depth instead of being threatened by it, who show up with consistency rather than convenience, who stay through the difficult chapters because they are built for the long story with you. I am bringing them. Some are already in your proximity, and you have not yet recognized them because you are still looking through the lens of everyone who left rather than the expectation of everyone who is coming. Adjust the lens. Begin looking for my appointments instead of bracing for more departures. And the ones who left, I need you to release them. Not because what happened did not hurt. It did. Not because the wound was not real. It was. But because carrying the weight of their leaving is using the hands you need to receive what I am bringing. Forgiveness in this context is not saying the leaving was okay. It is not pretending it did not cost you. It is the decision to put down the weight of it so that you can be fully present for what is arriving. Forgive them. Not for their sake. For yours. For the sake of the space the releasing will create in you. For the sake of the people coming who deserve a version of you that is not still half occupied by the ones who are gone. My precious child, hear me say this one more time and let it go all the way down into the place that has been carrying the question for longest. Their leaving was not a verdict on your value. It was a movement in a story that is still being written. And the author of that story, the one who sees every page including the ones not yet written, is telling you that what is coming is worth everything the leaving cost you. The people who were meant to stay are still coming. The belonging you were made for has not passed you by. And the love that will finally feel like home is closer to you right now than the wound is telling you it is. You are not too much. You are not too broken. You are not the person that people always eventually leave. You are the person I have been preparing a table for. And the guests I have invited are on their way. Hold the space. I am filling it. Type Amen if this message spoke to something you have been carrying. Share it with someone who is still holding the wound of someone who left. Be the reason they receive the truth that the leaving was not the end of their story. You are loved. You are not alone. And the best people of your life have not yet arrived.